All right, guys. Hey, William Saunders here. So I'm just giving you guys the monthly update, okay? And I believe this is for what is this? March, all right? Sell trades. Today is the 2nd of April. I did not want to do this on the 1st. I didn't want you guys thinking my results are April Fools. So I was like, let me do it on the 2nd for you guys, okay? So I'm just going to go through. Now, a lot has happened, so let me just refresh. We are, yeah, refreshed up with all of the positions. Okay, so it was a lot that happened in March for sure. So I actually ended up posting a withdrawal on my social media. So that was going on my Instagram. Okay, now since that has happened in March, my broker has, reached out to me about that, from people trying to access my account through that brokerage. So I'm not really posting the ticket orders and everything that I was showing. In fact, I had to reset my Instagram password 4 times in March because there were account activity dealing with someone trying to enter my Instagram account. So that was kind of like something that was just, you know, I want to say like uncalled for, seriously, because it's like you guys or someone out there, it's not everyone, but someone out there felt the need to try to get into my broker and try to get into my Instagram and everything from there, just from me just sharing results. And I mean, that's just kind of like, I don't know what's up with that or whatever the case may be. So I ended up switching out into, a different account and a more protective broker for sure. So I'm not going to let you guys know exactly which broker I'm using at this point. I'm just going to share the results and everything like that. Nothing of too much. I don't want no issues with my brokers. I don't want no issues with anything that's going on ever since that post that I actually did through there. And we kind of went into a little bit more details, but I mean that's it with those guys. So, but within let's say what is this? Okay, so for March, I literally transferred and loaded, deposit into this account pretty much on the 9th. Like I said, the first week of March, I was dealing with everything that was going on with my brokers and everything like that. So here are all the positions, of course, the entire month of March. That is actually filtered. If I can take a look, as you can see, this is from the 1st until the 31st. There was just nothing during the first week. I just switched over to the new broker. So essentially, like here's all the positions that kind of like happened and everything like that. So it came out. And let's see if that goes on to the second page. And that was the last thing that was actually done. So, I mean, this was like 72,000 in profit, 1,200 pips and everything like that. Okay. Now, if I go into the overview here that you can actually see. Now, growth wise, I can say this is roughly 10%, and believe I'm floating like 4 to 5% of open drawdown. Now, the way that this was set up is it wasn't for a specific gain, okay? This is more like a dollar amount. And that's the thing about it is you can actually enter in a specific dollar amount that you can go for. So in this case, since it does have the larger balance, of course, I want to do the least amount of profit and just basically just make a dollar amount bigger. So I believe the goal dollar amount was just 25 to 50,000 of extra income for this. Now, of course, I have the growth is roughly, let's say, a little over what 10%. Okay, so that's kind of like the growth of what it is. Now, obviously, on a lesser account, I don't want to get 10% of growth. I would probably want to get 30%, 50%. Matter of fact, when I went back from December, I ended up doing it was like 500% that I did for the quarter, going from December up until I think March. That was like 500% of growth, and that's because I wanted that amount. I took out 50,000 and everything like that. And I mean, that's just kind of like what it was. Now, aside from that, I have, of course, other, accounts that have a specific row, specific balances and everything from there. I just wanted something a little bit on the spectrum end, and I'm still going to modify some of the, assets that I have that I actually want to do. So that is like, for instance, the Euro GBP, I'm actually going to remove that one. I think when I looked over, the profits were not that much of a difference. And it's just kind of like something. And also, I probably want to take off a reserve USD JPY and maybe exchange it. I have another one that I put in, which is the NZD to the dollar and exchange that. And that's the other one and stuff that I'm actually dealing with. Okay. So aside from that, let me go ahead and let's talk about, this account here. So here is one of our private users who actually have it. As you can see, from the first all the way through that's going on, if we take a look, all of the trades that they actually have, and then go to the next page, as you can see. So here's all of those positions that are actually closed out and everything like that. And you guys can see for March, they did 1,963 pips, okay? Now, this account here is, another one that they actually ended up doing. So for March, as we can see, they did 772 pips. And we probably have another example. And this one right through here, as we can see, this is what, was actually done within March. They ended up doing 562 pips, okay? Now, one thing about this account, I know that they are intervening with the positions manually, or they have adjusted their settings. So something like this, 252 pips, that is something that they have did for sure. And even like these are have to kind of be like manual closes, or it's them with a custom setting that they're used and they're willing to accept a large risk at that. But essentially, I do believe this is manual closing that they're actually doing, which is okay. They have the means of actually doing so. All right. So, I mean, that is pretty much the update of everything. Now, moving forward, guys, so essentially what happened is, I think I started this back in December. I gave a handful of, students and colleagues and everything like that access to our software. The reason why I really did it is because, some new forming hedge funds that came in, they had access to the software as well. We've been running it for about 3 years. On the YouTube channel, we have everything else about the results that's going on with there. There is so much more of everything else that we're kind of, dealing with when it comes to the software. We use the software to actually manage personal accounts that we have for clients and everything like that, right? So at this point, the software is no longer available for anyone to actually own it, okay? So everyone that was inquiring, like it's just no longer available. We don't have the time or patience to work with anyone else. We have all of the few accounts that we have available right now, and that's pretty much good. So what's going to happen is we're going to just keep an eye on those accounts and everything like that on a regular basis. And then once we open up the academy, the students within the academy will have access to the software for a monthly subscription, okay, which means they can rent it, but no one can own it. So even in regards to that, the academy that we're looking to launch, is we're planning roughly right around the 15th of this month. So it's very, very, very soon and everything like that is going on. So in regards to, let's say, allowing the community to have access to the software or the public to have access to allow it to rent, that could take another, 1 to 6 months. I mean, we're in no rush to make sure that's done. That's just kind of like how it is. There's a lot that goes on when it comes to, let's say, how our software operates and everything from there. Even, everyone that owns it, we have to still give them, proper training and uses so that they can use it properly to get, the results. Or they could just go with the default results and everything like that, right? But then you have someone who kind of comes in and they want 1,000% within a single month. And it's like, yes, but you have to maintain it a little bit more, right? So when it comes to allowing everyone to rent it, that is going to be dictated on what we want to maintain ourselves, okay? Or what the growth is that we want to give out to everyone else. And that's just what it really kind of comes down to. Once we kind of decide that, then we'll be open to allowing, everyone to rent it and all of that stuff and everything like that, right? So for the most part, we can say we average about 10 to 30%, a month, 1 to 300% a year, you know, we can go 1 to 300% every quarter. We can do 1 to 300% a month. It just depends on the maintenance and everything that's going on with the settings and operation of, the overall software. So once again, we're not sure if we want everyone to get something that earns, 100% a month. And then the work behind that or the maintenance may not be worth it for us. So it's kind of like a lot that goes into it. But let's say 1 to 300% a year, then that can be something. It's a little bit less maintenance and everything that we're dealing with. Now, essentially, the other aspect is whatever we're getting on, let's say, private and personal accounts, we do profit shares. So if there's a way that we could still funnel that through because we're already maintaining that to get, let's say everyone that wants to rent it, similar results, then that would be great, right? But at the same aspect, you know, we don't want more work. That's what it really comes down to. So we don't want a whole bunch of, accounts that are added on something that's being rented just for the simple fact that we're trying to sell a product or service. Like we don't need to do with that. We could just keep it within hedge funds and, they are gladly will have a whole, entourage of managing the software and everything like that, right? Or wanting to fine tune this and kind of like get that whole type of results. But right now, set and forget would be based on the risk that you want to use. Our presets, I would say, is roughly for every 20% drawdown, we want right around 100% growth, okay? And that's standard. Some we get a little bit more, so 15% drawdown, 600% growth. 40% drawdown, 800% growth. We don't accept anything of that nature. Now, that is, of course, per pair, right? So the thing about it is, if you have, 20% drawdown and 100% growth, obviously you have 5 pairs like that. You're stating that, well, you're looking at 100% drawdown for 500% gain, right? Now that's, let's say, worst of the worst and everything like that. And just like the probability is just like it's kind of like never going to happen and everything. But at the same point, you'll get to where you're going to be making money a lot more than what the drawdown is. Or you'll have, one peer that's immediately in profit while the other one has, minute drawdown. And it kind of, exchange between who's in drawdown and who's making money and everything at that point because you're working with diverse pairs. Now, that's kind of like the beauty of it and always to have, money being made, but also at the same time to always, just have things in a works and everything of that nature. Okay. So when it comes to having someone rent it, that means it's more management on us on the back end. And we have to select something where everyone has a common goal or interest and also is feasible in regards to the maintenance that we're willing to kind of deal with. Now, aside from that, our easiest maintenance is, let's say, anything that is, 1 to 300%, let's say every year. That's like our easiest maintenance and everything like that. So someone who has, let's state what, I don't know, $100 account, 100% of that is not going to be worth it at the end of the year. And that's the reality of the situation, right? That's just the truth of the matter, okay? So for us, we have to understand, okay, down to a balance of what we want to do and also minimum account requirements. And most of the time, we want, let's say, individuals to start with at least $500 to $1,000 with the accounts so that they can have growth with the software and solid gains and everything like that. So of course, someone who are coming in with a little bit more capital, the more advantage that you have to make, of course, a dollar amount that's specific without the high risk and everything like that, or everything in that nature. But essentially, it's still about everything that needs to be done. So that is kind of like the intel in regards to what's going to happen when everything's going to be rented, and you know, you guys will just have to kind of wait and see. If you guys are looking for something a little bit more specific, let's say management, then it's something that we would be open to it depending on the amount of capital or opportunity that's available for mutual sides. You know what I mean? So I've had some of my guys, they've used it for some prop firms and everything like that. So that's why they needed software. And that is something that we kind of work with, you know. So that is also a good attribute of actually having. But aside from that, regular normal accounts or accounts that's going long term, it's really very very great. But it's like when it comes to a powerful AI, you have to understand how to operate it, functions, how it works. So that's why we provide it training and everything like that. And that's also why we're trying to move things accordingly. We're not in a rush to obviously start selling from a renting perspective and everything like that. We're never in a rush of that. We don't need the money per se like that. We could just use the software to just continue the trade and manage our accounts. You know what I mean? So why really open up the headache to the public of them using something that they probably, if the amount is too small, they can't take advantage of. It's not going to leverage them and that whole type of thing. So, but then again, it's like, do I want to have something out that requires people to start with a minimum of 1 to 5,000? So then it's something like, okay, a little bit of some solid, players and all this stuff or whatever the case may be. So is it something that is for people that have a little bit of stability in their life or a little bit of fun to play with? Perhaps yes, right? But it's not for everybody. It's not for the small people. It's not for the people that have, not to rent at least, but if you are able to own it and build up over time, then of course, anything is possible, customize the setting and all that stuff. But that's what I want you guys to kind of understand. So have a little bit of patience with things kind of coming out, understand how, you know, um, my reasonings of posting some things that did 500%, some things that did, whatever large percent, and some things of me posting 10% of growth and everything like that. I'm doing that because I choose to do that. I program the software to do that, and I can always adjust anything of what can be done. And I do have things on a standby. So it's like I have access to maybe like 16 peers, and I got maybe like 8 running right now. So you know, as things kind of pull up, I'll remove some and add some, and it also depends up on the placement of correlations when it comes to the pairs. So like I said, I'm going to take out the E, what is it, EG and also UJ, and I already added NU, and also I have other ones that I could add due to the functionality of the growth and things that I actually want. So, and that's kind of like the beauty of it when you actually have it. But that's pretty much it, guys. So, I'm not gonna do too much more of updates or posting because for the simple fact there is no point in me teasing you guys about something that's not going to be available already or anything from there. So I'm just going to do what I do, which is just be passionate about trading and sharing my results. And that's just kind of like how it is and everything like that. But aside from that, there is no point in me sharing results when I'm not going to be providing a service for sure. Okay, so understand that whole type of thing. I don't want to pique anyone's interest when I have nothing to give or offer. I don't want to influence people the wrong way, thinking that they can get the kind of results that I can when they don't have the type of knowledge that I have, they don't have the kind of tools or resources that I have. And that just adds to the negativity of the industry, right? If someone sees me trading GBP and making so much money from it, then they trade GBP because they think GBP is a money maker, even though they don't know how to trade GBP. So stick to trading what you know how to trade, right? That's the reality of the situation. I mean, that's just kind of like what it is. So, but I'll just keep you guys posted on the academy once that actually launches out. I'm going to open doors with, students who already have access to that. And then when it's time to let the public get access to that, I'll let the public get access to it, right? So, but that's pretty much it, guys. So I wish you guys much success and of course, happy trading.